Hello, my name is Marineo Flores, and I am the project manager for the Agriplace and Marquis Industrial Neighborhood Traffic Review. In this video, I will be going over some background information on the neighborhood traffic review process, presenting the draft traffic plan for the Agriplace and Marquis Industrial Neighborhood, discussing each of the recommendations in the draft traffic plan, going over the next steps in the process, and discussing the methods to send us your feedback on the draft traffic plan. I first would like us to get oriented within the neighborhood. This slide shows the study area, which is bound by Highway 16 to the west in red here, 71st Street to the north, South Saskatchewan River to the east, and 60th Street to the south. Marquis Drive is shown in orange here. Idlewild Drive is here. Miller Avenue is here, and the SaskTel Center is here. The focus of the neighborhood traffic review is existing traffic concerns on the local and collector streets. This slide shows the schedule for the traffic review. We have already completed stages 1 and 2, which involved identifying traffic problems within the area, collecting data, and developing a plan to address those problems. We are now in stage 3 of the schedule, which involves presenting our proposed solution to the public in the form of a draft traffic plan, collecting feedback on that draft traffic plan, making any necessary changes or adjustments to the plan, preparing a report with a final version of the traffic plan, and presenting the final report to the Standing Policy Committee on Transportation. We anticipate that this stage of the schedule will be completed in the spring of 2021. I'll discuss the next steps later in the presentation. I'd now like to go over concerns that we heard during stages 1 and 2 of the process. In terms of speeding and shortcutting through the neighborhood, we received speeding concerns on Kinnear Avenue and on Miller Avenue. We received concerns about the safety of pedestrians. Along Miller Avenue, we heard drivers rarely slow down and give right-of-way to pedestrians. At 60th Street and Faithful Avenue, we heard several people park on the street and walk to work, but there is a lack of sidewalks in the area. On the east side of Kinnear Avenue and the south side of Kinnear Place, there are missing sidewalks, which connects to the off-leash dog park. We also heard some concerns at the following intersections. At 71st Street and Idlewild Drive, there was a comment that this intersection is dangerous. At Marquis Drive and Faithful Avenue, there are concerns regarding signal delays. At Marquis Drive and Highway 11, there was a comment that traffic moves slowly through this intersection. So it was suggested that this intersection be prioritized for an interchange. At Marquis Drive and Highway 16, it was also suggested that this intersection be prioritized for an interchange. At Marquis Drive and Siemens Avenue, it was requested that reflectors or reflective tape be added to the median on the west lane, as this median is protruding into the left westbound traffic lane. And at Marquis Drive and Thatcher Avenue, there are concerns regarding long vehicle delays. We heard about parking concerns at a couple of locations as well. At Kinnear Avenue and Kinnear Place, there was a concern that semis are parking too close to Kinnear Place. Along Lipsett Crescent, between Langer Avenue and Lipsett Crescent, there are concerns that semis are blocking driveways and fire hydrants. We also heard about the Idlewild Drive southbound on-ramp from Marquis Drive. There were concerns regarding faded lane markings and driver confusion about the number of lanes along the on-ramp from Marquis Drive. After gathering all of these concerns, we began our data collection program. Throughout the data collection process, we performed a number of site visits to gather field observations of road conditions and traffic patterns. We collected traffic volume and speed studies at 2 locations, and we collected intersection counts at 2 locations. And we analyzed collision data to identify locations with safety concerns. We used the results of our data collection program to create a draft traffic plan that recommends a number of changes and improvements to roads within the neighborhood. In the next few slides, I will go over each of the recommendations in detail. But in general, we are proposing a number of improvements, such as reflective devices, speed display board, pedestrian devices, and sidewalks. Our first recommendation is at the intersection of Marquis Drive and Siemens Avenue, circled in red here on the map. In response to concerns regarding the protruding median, the recommendation is to install reflective tape on the tapered end of the median, circled here. Our second recommendation is on Miller Avenue between 60th Street and 64th Street. In response to speeding issues, it is recommended that a speed display board be installed for northbound traffic between 60th Street and 64th Street. This is an example of a speed display device. It displays your current speed and indicates if you are traveling above the posted speed limit. The speed display boards are installed temporarily for 1 year. In addition to installing the speed display device, we will be forwarding the speed data we collected to the Saskatoon Police Service, so they can consider this information when deploying their enforcement officers. Our third recommendation is at Miller Avenue and 60th Street. In response to pedestrian concerns, it is recommended that an active pedestrian corridor be installed on the north leg. An example of an active pedestrian corridor is shown here. It has pedestrian crossing signs above the roadway. These signs have flashing beacons that are activated by push buttons located on either side of the street. The overhead signs also provide down lighting to illuminate the crosswalk at night. Our fourth recommendation is at Miller Avenue and 64th Street. In response to pedestrian concerns, it is recommended that an active pedestrian corridor be installed here on the north leg. An example of an active pedestrian corridor is shown here again. For recommendations 5 and 6, it is recommended that sidewalks be installed on the east side of Kinnear Avenue, north of the Silverwood Golf Course, and on the south side of Kinnear Place, east of Kinnear Avenue, shown in red here. We will be constructing these sidewalks and ramps according to the Sidewalk Infill program. A recommendation for new sidewalks in a neighborhood traffic review will increase the priority for locations within the Sidewalk Infill program. Here is the schedule again. The next step in stage 3 of the neighborhood traffic review process will be to collect feedback on these recommendations. The comment period will be open until April 16, 2021. Once that comment period has come to an end, we will finalize the traffic plan and prepare a report to present to the Standing Policy Committee on Transportation. The next stage of the process involves the implementation of the traffic plan, which includes the preparation of plans and installation of the recommendations. Signage, pavement markings, and temporary traffic calming measures are typically installed within a year after presenting the report. The evaluation stage includes the follow-up assessments to determine the effectiveness of the temporary traffic calming measures. Since there are no physical traffic calming measures recommended for this neighborhood, this stage does not apply. Before we wrap things up, I wanted to take a minute to talk about some of the other projects taking place in the area. The Ministry of Highways and Infrastructure is working on a planning study for the Saskatoon Freeway, which is expected to be a 4-lane, 55-kilometer stretch of divided highway that begins at Highway 11 south of Saskatoon and connects with Highway 7 west of the city, shown on this slide. Phase 1 of the study covers the portion of the corridor at the north end of Saskatoon. The final report of the Phase 1 study is currently under review. Additional information on this project can be found at saskatoonfreeway.org. There is also the North Saskatoon Network Planning Study, which is planning the future arterial road and expressway connections to the provincial highway system in the north part of Saskatoon. This planning study is dependent on the recommendations for the Saskatoon Freeway project. Please feel free to reach out to me if you think of any additional questions, comments, or concerns. There are a few different methods for submitting concerns. You can post directly on the saskatoon.ca/engage page. subscribe for updates at saskatoon.ca/NTR. You can use the Report a Traffic Issue app. You can give me a call at 306-975-3463. You can send me an email at ntr@saskatoon.ca or mail in a letter at 222 3rd Avenue North, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, S7K0J5. All of the details are shown on the screen, and you can also visit the saskatoon.ca/engage page. Thank you for taking time to watch this video, and I hope to hear from you soon.